Hello and welcome to Perception Media. I am your hostess, the Cinegeek, and today I'm going to be doing a hopefully very concise and specific review of the Terminator franchise. Specifically, I'm going to go over what's essential to know about each film, and then I'm going to dive into theories and either prove or disprove them as I go. So to start off with, we have the Terminator, where we see the Terminator and Kyle Reese coming from 2029 and going back to May 12th, 1984. Kyle Reese is there to save Sarah Connor so that John Connor is born. Basically, he's trying to assure that the timeline stays exactly the same. And in doing so, Kyle becomes the father of John with Sarah, thus creating a paradox, and I'll get more into that later. In the end, Cyberdyne gets the hand of the Cyberdyne System Model 101, often referred to as the T-800. Then we get into Terminator 2, Judgment Day, where again, a Terminator is sent back in time with now a T-1000, a more updated and more advanced Terminator, from 2029 again, and that's important, to 1995. The Terminator's mission is to save 10-year-old John Connor, and again, they're trying to keep the timeline the same. However, Sarah, John, and the Terminator decide to change the future by destroying Cyberdyne and stopping Judgment Day. So, in the end, they kill Miles Dyson. Don't worry, he gets up to his robot shenanigans again later. They kill Miles Dyson, and they destroy the Terminator and the first Terminator's hands. So how is John alive? If Judgment Day is stopped, Kyle Reese doesn't go back in time, and therefore he doesn't become John Connor's father, and therefore John doesn't exist. So John's very existence is proof that Judgment Day still happens. Interesting. Moving on to Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. So now, a Terminator and a TX, an even more advanced Terminator, come back from 2032, and we don't really know what happens between 2029 and 2032, which doesn't make sense because we know that in 2029, the humans had won, and that's why they originally sent the Terminator back. So how are they still going in 2032? I don't know. They don't know. Just go with it. They sure did. So, the TX is there to kill 19-year-old John Connor and Kate Brewster, and the Terminator's there to save them. And here we learn that Cyberdyne is defunct and the military is in charge of Skynet after the events of T2. And we also learn that Judgment Day is inevitable, which is the first time they effing said that, and that's important. They're saying they can't change that aspect of the future. And we also see that Judgment Day actually happens this time, which is crazy. So Judgment Day happens in 2004 instead of 1997, which the Terminator and T2 always said that it was going to. Alright, so now we get into Terminator 4, Terminator Salvation. In this particular film, there's no time travel. We do open with a 2003 scene, a flashback of a cyborg guy, Marcus, who's donating his body to become a cyborg to Cyberdyne, which I don't understand how, because in the last movie we learned that Cyberdyne has been defunct, and the end of the world happens in 2004, but Cyberdyne has been defunct since the events of 1995 in Terminator 2, so there's no point in history in any of these films, where Cyberdyne existed simultaneously in the year 2003 with humanity, without an apocalypse. That doesn't make any sense. Did they watch any of the previous movies? Okay, so then we jump to 2018, where the events of this particular film take place, and Skynet wants Kyle Reese dead. Why? And John Connor dead. Why? Can Skynet tell the future? How does Skynet know that Kyle will become John's father? And in this particular film, John isn't leading the resistance, Michael Ironside is. So do they know that John's going to become the leader of the resistance and ultimately defeat them? Did they go into the future and then into the past so they knew what was already going to happen? In which case, what? Anyway, that leads me to Terminator 5? Yeah, Terminator 5, Genysis. Okay, so now we're gonna get into my theories. My first theory being we're in the Matrix. Next theory being aliens. I mean, does anyone notice that HAL from 2001: A Space Odyssey looks remarkably like the eye from the Terminator? I'm just saying. Then we get into it's all a simulation. Yes, WOPR. Skynet would like to play global thermonuclear war. Now it's eternalism, aka block time, in which case the future is a physical place that is there and unchanging. But I'm going to just go ahead and disprove that because we do see alterations happening between the movies, so that's not the case. Then we get into the grandfather paradox. But, okay, so John's existence as Kyle's son is the reason Judgment Day is inevitable. Judgment Day has to happen so Kyle Reese will go back in time and father him, or at the end of T2, he would have been unborn. So Judgment Day happens to prevent a worse paradox, basically. That make any sense? I don't even know. Then we get into the mysterious case of multiple John Connors. This theory holds that there are alternate timelines rather than one, which doesn't hold up because each film is affected by the events of the previous one. Again. Okay, so then my next theory is Kyle wasn't originally John's father. So when Kyle was sent back from 2029 to 1984, he becomes John's father. But originally, if you notice, Sarah had a date with another guy. So I contend that she ended up fathering the original John Connor with that guy. And then when Kyle Reese went back, he became John Connor's father the second time around, thus creating two John Connors and erasing the first John Connor. And the reason that John Connor becomes the exact same way he did the second time around is because of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because Kyle already told him all the stuff that Sarah needed to know to raise John to become the person that he was the first time around. Does that make any sense? I don't even know. Okay, so then we get to Skynet created John Connor. Alright, how did a computer program invent time travel? No, really. How did a computer program invent time travel? That doesn't make any sense. Did it purposely create a time anomaly to ensure its existence, or as an experiment to unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe, as Doc Brown would say? Possibly. I theorize it. Then we're getting to predestination paradox or causality loop, which is, I think, the most likely theory. Well, actually, there's one more likely, and that's the next one. But this is, it's pretty high up there. And this is what happens must happen. If a traveler is sent to the past, they must have always gone to the past. And that works kind of in conjunction with block time. So, because Kyle Reese went back in time, he always went back in time. But that doesn't specifically hold up because we do see things change. So nothing really supports the paradox with the fact that time is able to be altered. Except for this one last theory. The filmmakers don't care about continuity. My proof being literally everything in Terminator Genysis. Thank you. I fucking hate Terminator Genysis. We need a Moon Knight movie. If you want to, here's my link to my blog. I often write about what I talk about, and I write about a lot more. And I went on a scathing, very long review of my opinions on Genysis. And if you're bored, I recommend reading it because it's actually pretty funny. I really got angry. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have a theory about how this timeline can work, please. I've been working on this for months, and I can't get it there. Maybe as I crack the code, I'll make another video. But this is a shout out to the person who actually requested this. Here you go. Did my best. You broke me. I'm out.